Welcome to Beyond the Signboard, where you get the opportunity to learn all there is to know about your real estate journey from professionals who are passionate about property. I'm Amy Bennett, your host, and I look forward to providing you with education, inspiration, and a behind-the-scenes look at the world of real estate. Well, I am absolutely over the moon, jumping out of my seat, so excited to have the beautiful Kim Phillips here, superstar extraordinaire human being, CEO of Moving Made Easy, author, super mum, super wife, just so many incredible things. Importantly, a really dear friend of mine here to join me today.
Thank you, Amy. I'm so excited to be here. You warm my heart. You're one of my most favourite human beings.
I just said to Kim off air that she sends the most beautiful voice recordings, and we were just saying it's always, as bright, bubbly people, sometimes there are darker times, and it's beautiful to have that, your voice in the morning. It's always bloody early. Always a beautiful message, always lots of pink and black hearts. We do have a very special connection with the colour pink. I see you've got beautiful pink heels on today.
I wore them just for you.
Yay! Kim, we will get into depth with your incredible history and lifelong commitment to the moving industry. We'll talk about how you have been really a change maker in the industry, how you provide the most incredible client service. We'll talk about how you've been able to build your brand. You are the queen of a pivot and evolving. We'll just really get to know you a little bit more. You're so well already known on the Sunshine Coast. Whenever I told people that you were coming on the podcast, they were so excited. You're always a ray of sunshine at networking events, and it's just really great to have you here in conversation.
Thank you, Amy. It's lovely to be here. I'm actually honoured to be here.
It's amazing, and we are both chatterboxes, so we're going to have a fun time. Beautiful. Kim, I'd love you to share for our listeners and viewers your career journey because, my gosh, I'm sure it fills a few chapters in the book. But, chat us through where it started and where you are now.
Great question. Big question. I'm really grateful for where I am right now. The journey, so way back when, 54 years ago when I was born in a little country town in Wangaratta, my parents had a removal business, so very humble beginnings. My actual dad got a truck out of the wreckers, didn't even have a motor, so it was not drivable. And so many people said, you'll never do it. Well, he did.
Yeah.
I think I have a lot of my persistence and resilience from both of my parents. So Dad, yes, was driving in the truck. Mum was in the office, the traditional sort of business style. Spent a lot of time with my dad on many jobs and worked out that, he taught me a lot about helping people and showed me the real true value, and both of them a customer service experience and what that looks like.
Yeah, they both had that ingrained in them, and what a beautiful childhood. So you were in the office or more so in the truck with Dad?
I think I might have spent more time in the early years with Dad in the truck, probably from baby and nappies.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then with Mum in the office as well. And I think maybe it wasn't something that Mum really wanted to do, but honestly, she is one of the strongest and most resilient women I know.
Yeah, amazing.
And I'm so grateful I've got them as role models and mentors, and I still talk to them about business and life.
And their business name back then?
McAuliffe's Removalists and Storage.
Amazing. And geez, what a journey to work together, and especially back then as well, to work together every day and then come home as well. It is really a testament to who they are as people.
Oh, definitely. And way back then, Dad was away a lot, and that was but I feel the time we had, even with both my parents, was quality time and really good quantity and learning things I look at today. I didn't realise what I was learning back then as a little person, and you're
such an avid. You love learning like me, don't you? You just I know always personal and professional development growth. You and I are always the first people to put our hand up and want to improve our lives. So back then, what did the industry look like? Was there other people in the industry in Wangaratta?
There was a canny carrying company, but were more like in freight rather than the removaler side of things. So my parents they still so humble now.
Yes.
They were so visionary and so entrepreneurs way back many decades ago.
Yeah, amazing.
And even bringing women into their business to help and be on the jobs. And that's where I didn't realise it then, but that's where I saw the massive impact for my industry to have more women involved.
Yeah, amazing.
And we need the guys, and we complement each other and collaborate together to make a beautiful moving experience. But
what did you feel that the females could add? What was the value add, I guess, back then? And obviously, you know, we will fast forward to where you are now, but what do you think it was that that they were able to add?
I just think a different kind of empathy around the guys. For them, and as we know, men and women are so different, and if you've read that book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, everyone should read it.
Yes, agreed.
We want different things, we do things differently. So guys tend to want to move a table or chairs from A to B, and women want to provide. Well, I know myself, that's one of the things, empathy. A lot of people move when they don't want to.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Kim, and I think that's a shared experience that we both have, because I think there's so much of a misconception about real estate that people are selling to make a profit and life's great, but you and I both know, you know, we're in the trenches with that transaction. And so what would you, I guess, you know, back then, were people moving within Wangaratta, interstate? Was it work? What did the industry look like back then?
Mum and Dad did a lot of local moves, but a lot of their business came from out of Wangaratta, and they got on a government panel, so they were working with a lot of corporates.
Yes.
And as we know, you know, once you're really good at what you do and you provide a great service and you deliver on time and all those sorts of things, people refer you.
Absolutely.
So, you know, as years went on, all those clients will repeat, their family, friends. You end up with their fourth generation.
It's incredible.
Moving experiences. So, and a lot of hard work, obviously. I mean, you don't wave a magic wand, as we know. And it just
it would have to be. I would have to say it's probably the most, you know, cringe-inducing experience moving house, isn't it? Again, I've never. You're probably the only person I know that gets your pile of boxes, you get your tape, and you're so excited. I know how you project manage a move, but aside from that, you know, in addition to the stress of the packing, the, you know, getting everything moved, I guess ultimately that's people's belongings and things, isn't it? And if that's going off in a truck, you know, to their next move, like there's a huge trust factor there as well.
Oh, definitely. Like, I take that really seriously. People's homes particularly, and I do factories and office and warehouse relocations as well. There's not the emotional attachment to it. So I take it very seriously. You're in their very personal space.
Correct.
And we get to see people, and you would as well, especially if they're moving because they don't want to, and it could be a financial reason. People become stressed.
Absolutely.
And it's a very vulnerable time, and they're overwhelmed. And I think having that empathy and a way of making them feel calm, letting them know it's going to be okay, but also people can talk a lot, as we know, but actions speak louder than words. So I like to talk, I love to talk, as you know, but I like to talk less and then make actions and have a great outcome for people. And I saw that firsthand with my parents, whether it was my mum on, you know, dealing with people in the office, on the road with my dad. And when you're out, and back then you've got to remember generations ago, we didn't have mobile phones.
I know. I was just thinking that's what I thought about. Little Kim sitting there next to Dad, and you would have had, what, a Refidex? What do you call those in Wangaratta? Melways. And you know what? You know, we're going to get there probably between 11 and 1, and, you know, it's just, I mean, I am also of a generation pre-mobile phones, but, yeah, the mind boggles, doesn't it, thinking how we want everything yesterday.
I really feel that's how I've learnt to have the amazing ability to pivot and adapt, and especially in a stressful environment, because when, on the road with Dad, the truck would break down.
Of course.
And you get delayed. You can't call someone and say, I'll move you next week.
Correct,
they
that's
have
right.
to move. So we did work through the night. We did sleep in the front of the truck, the back of the truck. I learnt a lot about pivoting and adapting, and even seeing things that my mum had to do within the business as well.
Yeah.
And I think they're really good life lessons, and I believe that's why I'm really good at what I do now, because I learned from the experts way back when, but then I've surrounded myself with other business people, and not just in the removal industry. and having a lot of role models and mentors and people that are older than myself that have lived it, so have the wisdom, knowledge. And yes, back then we all think, oh, yeah, I know more than, I'm superwoman.
Yeah, we can reinvent the wheel.
Yes,
Yeah.
but then if you get down, and I see life through a much different lens now more than I ever have before.
Look, we've always had we've had many a beautiful conversation together. We've always had a shared, I guess, passion or friendship with so many different people, haven't we? You and I have always sort of bonded over that, whether that's, people, older people. I know that that's definitely a shared passion we have is helping people with that, next stage of life and relocation, and we'll kind of move to that a little bit later. But I think there is so much to learn from other people, and good and bad. And I think that's something like let's move forward, because to get to where you are in business, I know you've observed a lot of things within the industry that didn't align with who you were. So do you want to sort of take us from on the bench seat with Dad in the truck to, I guess, before we got to Moving Made Easy, what was that journey in between?
Oh, it's quite a few moving parts there. So I actually left...
Pardon the pun?
Yeah, that's it. I actually left school. My dream was to leave school and be a hairdresser.
Yes.
And I didn't actually enjoy school. I'm still not an academic, but that's okay. I found my vibe and my why in life. So I was actually bullied at school. So I think that the journey of that, and that's... we didn't know a lot about bullying then, and we didn't understand it. It's not your parents' fault.
Yeah.
All those sorts of things. We weren't taught to talk about it. So I think an exit from school was a really good opportunity for me. But hairdressing was my dream, and I left school at 14, even much to the disgust of teachers said to my parents, how could you let your daughter do that? But that's one thing about my parents. They've always supported me no matter what.
It's amazing.
And I'm grateful for that. So I went off and did hairdressing. Then I worked out that wasn't really my thing. I stopped loving it. I didn't have the drive for it. That's why I know when you live your why,
yes,
that's when you're real passion, and that's when you can really shine.
Absolutely.
As you know, because
Yes.
you're living and breathing that.
We do.
I did go and work in the corporate world for some time doing Army, Air Force and Navy relocations, and I worked my way up and actually moved states to get to Brisbane and be a team leader and have a team of 10. Which was wonderful, of one of the youngest.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But within that corporate world, I saw a real flaw, as what I would call in my industry, and working in a negative role in one point in time in a call centre, and it was a 24-hour shift, and people were calling up, mostly women, talking about what they didn't like about the industry and how horrendous their moves were. And I sat there, it was so negative. I sat there, Amy, just shrinking in the chair thinking, this is crazy. I come from second generation where my parents created this amazing business and gave people a wonderful moving experience. And this is the corporate world. Why? This is wrong. Anyway, so obviously there's a lot of things to go on from there and get your ducks lined up and then, become the moving angel. But I just knew right then and there.
It's amazing, isn't it? Just in that moment and I guess a misalignment with your integrity and values. And we have I guess that's a really shared journey for us, because that was equally the same thing for me with real estate. Was I'd personally had those horrendous, experiences, and obviously it's an industry that has a very poor reputation, and coming from, community pharmacy and health that was really regarded in the community. So, you and I are very much those, pioneers and champions of being good people in an industry that perhaps doesn't have a great reputation.
And also too, like my industry is not regulated.
I know.
Even I was a guest speaker for Rotary Mooloolaba last night, and people nearly fell off their chairs when I said the removals industry is not regulated. Now you think about the risk that's involved in that, and with yourself, you have to have done your ticked all the boxes as far as your industry goes. So we've got a long way to go still. I'm still would like to, there's been some changes, but I feel that there's some more big changes to come, and I'm still, striving to be able to make that happen. And sometimes, like we all said, life's ups and downs, and we all have our pity party sometimes and just don't live there. Just keep every day, what can I do to make a difference in my industry, and how can I help the consumer, because they're paying for the service.
That's right, yeah.
So it's being a serving and helping people.
well, help you do in spades. So the Moving Angel is your moniker, and we love everything you've done. You know, I've got to know you really well over the last 7 years and seen you just do amazing things for clients, my team members as well. Let's chat about how the business came about. Let's chat about the colours, the brand, and I know that's all part of the story for you.
Another interesting question. You know how we were saying off,
Yes.
we were chatting prior,
Yeah.
how sometimes things just find you.
Sure.
So probably one of the most turning points in my life was when I walked the Kokoda track with my dad.
Yeah, amazing.
In honour of my grandfather, his dad, and we did it and for Father's Day together. And whilst I was on that track, I dreamt about my business and this book that I also published as well. I definitely didn't know how I was going to make it all happen, because obviously leaving school at 14 with minimal education, I would be one of the most unlikely person to start a business or write a book.
Oh, what would those teachers say now?
I actually saw one recently. She said, "Oh, Kim, I'm so proud of you. You hated school."
That's amazing.
So I actually got the name or the title, The Moving Angel, from a client.
Okay.
Yeah, so 2 or 3 people kept saying, "Oh, you're just like an angel, moving angel." So I thought, okay, well, that's a good title. If they think I'm that, then I'll just be. Although I must say, when we move, my husband says, "Where's that moving angel?" Because I'm the moving devil when we move.
Oh, it is just, I can't even think about, going back to some of the experiences I've had moving from Brisbane to Melbourne and back, and much to your disgust, trying to do it myself, do it the cheap way, pack yourself. And I must say, I'm certainly not, I don't have your calibre of packing skills, so we'd have a few casualties. But look, it is just a tear out your hair experience, I must say. And, I know there are people like you that, have the patience and tolerance to do it. And, but yeah, certainly not my forte. So then the logo.
Well, actually, when I started my business, I didn't have a logo. I didn't even have a business brand, didn't have colours or anything like that. I'd been working, my brother's in relocations as well, and he does a lot in the corporate space, and I'd been working with them, wanted to do my own thing, and pretty much just went off, had a mobile phone and started reconnecting with everyone, letting them know I was doing my, a separate side business, and we just went from there. And after 2 or 3 months into it, or maybe 6 months, I thought, better get a business card, better decide on a logo, and I thought, women love pink.
Yes.
So
and are they your primary ideal client, Kim, or that's what you sort of gravitate towards?
That's a really interesting question, Amy, because originally it was after listening to, when I was in that call centre of the women, what they didn't like about the industry, and they still are a huge part of my business, but I see a lot of men now contacting me because they want to relieve the stress from their partners.
Great.
So they'll call up and say, "Oh, look, we're moving. I'd like to engage you to help our family," and things like that. So I'm seeing in the last 5 years, a different shift. So as we know, happy wives, happy life, basically.
Well, we're very blessed, aren't we, to be married. We'll chat about your beautiful Brett later. So Moving Made Easy has absolutely grown from strength to strength. Like you said, pivoted and evolved. But at the kind of heart and soul of who you are, and where I've seen you most in your flow, is very much sitting and being with clients, taking the stress out of the process, very much, our shared interest and support for the older generation. So, really it's about, when they're packing up that family home and the memories. And I know you love your Earl Grey tea and, sitting and having a conversation. And so, you're a bubbly, excitable person like me. How do you sort of slow that process down and sort of help them and educate them through the journey?
I feel it's a lot of just sitting with them, listening to them, because moving is recognised as the second most stressful event in our life. And like we say, we've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, so I don't always get it right.
Same.
But I've got better. Having a chat with them, are they moving because they want to? What's their precious items? How are they feeling emotionally about it? I actually, if I had my time again, possibly I might have gone to university and got a degree around psychology because I'm really fascinated about it. But I feel with my background from second generation and then other life experiences, I'm pretty much that person anyway, but just in a different kind of way.
I think in the uni of life, you would be at the top of the list, Kim. And I myself didn't go to uni as well. And, you know, I sometimes think, oh, should I have? But we are rich through the life lessons that you and I have had. And then that quest for learning, not just through, you know, standard education, but taking from all the people that we meet, like I said, good and bad. When you move people, one of my favourite things you do is you take photos of how everything is set up. Whenever I talk to somebody about you, this story always comes up, that placement of personal items, literally you'll move from one home to another and the bedside table is still the same. Is that right?
I do. I think, well, I am a type A personality and I like things in a certain way, much as it drives other people around me crazy. But my dad's probably a lot like that. He was very specific about things. So I quickly worked out that there would be people that, say, like a Nana's crystal cabinet or your wall unit or your bookcase or something where everything's as
in its
it
place.
is in that house. So if all those items, including the physical furniture items
Yes.
and going to the new home, you can put it back the same because, like us all, we'll move it around to our own little way. So that was a little unique.
And
thing that
books as well, books on a bookshelf.
Yes, I've moved to a psychiatrist that had 5,000 books. Took photos of everything and my team, I drive them mad sometimes. I think I said, look, we've got a packet. Oh, really? Do I? And then at the end, he said, oh, that's why we've done it. I said, yes, so she can find everything.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
otherwise, you can't find things.
So you are always, the client is always first in your mind, which is what I love. And I know you sprinkle magic with, you know, flowers and things like that when you're, you know, relocating a client. What does sort of a day in a life of Kim Phillips look like?
That's an interesting question as well, because in logistics you constantly, you'll have a plan. Like a good project manager, you'll have a plan. But then you've got to be flexible and to be able to pivot and adapt to whatever comes along.
Yeah, absolutely.
A move I did just recently, I recommended we take, 100 to 150 boxes to the apartment. Well, we end up taking 320, and that's an insane amount of boxes. And a lot of the team were just feeling overwhelmed and where we're going to fit all this stuff. It's like playing Tetris or chess.
Do you know Tetris? This is the nerd in me. Aside from Scrabble and Wordle, Tetris is my absolute favourite thing in the world to play. I just absolutely love it. And I think it's funny, isn't it? It's a bit like you are, the brain just working out, being ahead of the game. What can I do? What's an alternative? So I knew Tetris would come up when we chatted, but even I just saw some beautiful clients were just relocating and they had a container ship, and it was funny. I was watching him kind of load that in, and like he said, every space is precious, isn't it? And you know, really that logistics. So there are so many components to a move, you know, that it's not just the physical packing, it's that move, isn't it? It's maximising space and time, I guess. Is that kind of the main objectives?
Oh, definitely. And just we provide a service where we do an on-site inspection. I think that's really crucial. I know, look, depending, and I use this as an example often, this business model, and I don't have anything against them. It's like some people want to drink VB and other people want to drink Moët champagne. There's no judgment here. It's about the client. They're paying for the service, whatever they want that to be and how they want that to look like.
Are you the VB or the Moët?
Definitely the Moët.
I love it.
Yeah, the 5-star all the way. Or 6, as you'd say.
I know, absolutely.
Yeah. So like Man with a Van, and that's a model that someone created for a basic move where guys take items from A to B.
Yep.
You know, like we're all different. We all want different things, but I quickly worked out that my industry had some gaps that I could fill and be unique, and why blend in when you're born to stand out type thing, you know. So I just listening to people.
Yeah, and that's kind of where that sort of, I mean, I kind of introduced you as a moving concierge, moving angel, just call Kim. That's all I basically say. But you're exactly right, and it's the same in any choice you're making as a consumer. You know, what are you looking for? Are you looking for the, hey, I can just hire a thrifty truck myself for $100, you know, load it myself, drop it off, or do you need everything to be done? And again, there's so many reasons why someone would engage you. Like I said, they could be time poor. It could just be overwhelming. So a myriad of things. And then obviously as well, somebody may be relocating for work, and there may be that is part of their package, isn't it, as well, to be relocated. But ultimately, I think you provide a premium service, and you're really strong with that. I love that. Kim has the most amazing tenacity and strength, and I think that's something that we kind of share, isn't it? That, you can be heart-led and a good, kind person, but you can have that strength of character as well.
Oh, definitely. And I feel that comes a lot from your upbringing.
Correct.
And also to who you surround yourself, like your circle of trust, which we talked about before we jumped on the podcast. But I also think, like, it's, as we say, it's not roses and sunshine and all the fancy things every day. It's riding the waves. If you're out in the surf, one day you'll catch a good wave, the next day you might not. And I feel like things happen to us, not they happen for us, not to us.
Agreed.
And I feel that it's how you deal with them and come out the other side. Like for me, one of the most amazing things now when I look back, but I didn't at the time, and I tell you, I had the pity party and I was living there for a while. And actually it happened just before I was helping David and Jodie relocate, and no one knew. And there's things I keep off social media, is that I was at a client's house and they had their leather lounge conditioned and it was all sprayed over the concrete floor. And I fell, and my team tried to help me, and I tried to help myself, and I collected a kitchen bench, and I landed flat on my back on a concrete floor. And I ended up with a dislocated hip, a twisted pelvis, and 2 bulging discs.
It was a really tough time for you, Kim. I remember it fondly, yeah.
It was, so I wasn't earning any income. I could still talk and see these sorts of things. I had to take a step back from my business. And one night on the couch, my husband said, "Oh, Kim, this falls a gift." And I looked at him like, "Are you WTF?" Seriously. He said, "No, it's a gift." He said, "Kim, you've been talking about a book.
Yes.
The whole time we've been together.
Yeah.
The universe wants you to write a book."
Absolutely.
And I went, "Okay, let's do it."
Yeah, amazing.
Obviously, there's a lot in between because, I'm not a writer as such, I'm a talker, but we'd already sort of, between myself, I had it all in here.
Yeah, well, just a lifetime of knowledge and I guess a real passion to share and help people through that journey. So the book is called Moving Made Easy, The Hidden Keys to an Easy Move. We had a beautiful Sunshine Coast book launch here in our office, which was such an honour. Chat us through the book and who is the reader that would really benefit from a copy of your book?
Well, that's interesting too, because when I went on the path to do that, I was tailoring it more around, so it's a step-by-step guide to take you through if you're wanting to do your own move and you don't necessarily want the moving angel. And it's not a naming or shaming. I've had some negativity from some big players in my industry, and I don't listen to all that white noise, but because it's really to create some awareness and knowledge that's not on Mr. and Mrs. Google of things. And I don't know everything, but I do know a lot about the industry. I've lived and breathed it for so many decades now. It was to help people and give them a little bit of advice and some tips and tricks so they could better plan for their move. But it's interesting, I have a lot of people buy it and then they ring me and say, "Oh,
it's too hard.
this is too hard. Can I have your service?"
Oh, I tell you what, that's what I just say. Just call Kim, honestly. It's funny. I was just thinking about that, Kim, when you said that about the, people within your industry. Those that are beneath you will, those that try and pull you down are already beneath you. And that's something that's certainly, I've always had it, in the back of my mind. You and I are the same. We've both got really strong family support, and I think ultimately there is a threat in an industry where people are performing below, minimum standards. I mean, you and I, minimum standards in an industry would be acceptable. It's not even operating in both of our industries, and so I think the gap between a poor experience and a good experience is just a great opportunity for us. But not dissimilar to what we're doing with the podcast, it's about sharing that insight. For so long, real estate was, a hidden I guess smoke and mirrors, and there wasn't that ability for the general public, like you said, to, Mr. and Mrs. Google. But there should be a lot more transparency, I believe, education. I can't tell you the amount of times I hear people that are going on a buying or selling journey, renting or leasing journey, and I just think, I wish you knew so much more. And so I think it's up to people like you and I to provide that platform to educate people, and I guess to have, not a pun intended, but a peek beyond the signboard. And it's the same with you, into the moving boxes and to delve into it, because you can't be there for everyone. I know you would love to move every single person on the planet and for them to have that experience, but your book provides that opportunity for people to do that themselves, or even just to understand what is a good experience, and then to be able to educate their loved ones as well. So it will be a book that will stand the test of time, which will have a ripple effect. There's no doubt about that. But it is also a beautiful legacy for you within the industry. And of course that's going to ruffle some feathers. That's what we do.
Oh, I know. If I can remember before, because at one time we were based in Melbourne, and I'd only had Moving Made Easy going for 6 months, and I said to Brett, why don't we make a lifestyle change and we'll move to the Sunshine Coast and we'll put our brand there, because I was travelling here regularly, and I just thought there's no one on the Sunshine Coast doing what I'm doing. So I contacted a local contractor who Mum and Dad had a relationship for like 20-odd years, so lots of money changed hands. And at that time the dad sort of semi-retired and the son was in there. So I organised a meeting.
Yep.
And we were sitting and chatting, and he pretty much leaned across the desk at me and just said, Kim, don't come to the Sunshine Coast. We don't want you here. We don't need you here. We own the Sunshine Coast. And I went, oh, okay. I got back in the car, and Georgia looked at me because she was about to start high school, and she said, oh, Mummy, you look a bit pale. Are you okay? I said, oh, I didn't. She said, I had the meeting go, because she's pretty upbeat.
Yeah.
She's so brave. I love her. And I said, I didn't really quite go how I expected, but I said, you know what, G? I said, I'm going to get in my big pink and black B double. I'm going to head up every road I can, and I'm going to stick in my own lane.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be worrying or concerning about anyone else. I don't have a contractor right now to work on the Sunshine Coast, but I tell you what, I'm going to get one. And I did, because I contacted someone I'd known for 30 years within my industry, told him my plans, and at that point in time I was connecting with Stockland. As you know, I got that partnership and collaboration, and the things that I've gone on to do from that was amazing. But it's tough, like we all say, it's not roses and sunshine every day. And look, at one point when I was trademarking my business, I got down to $16 in my bank account.
Yeah, you had a real battle there, Kim, I know that.
2 years. Yep. It nearly broke me, I'll be honest. But I just knew and believed in myself that I was going, and I had like big companies within my industry ringing me saying, you'll never get this trademarking across the line. We won't let you. Yeah. You can't have it. I did it.
Yeah. What did I heard? A beautiful saying recently. Did you hear this? It was that let me try and get it, that the rear view mirror is smaller than the front. Well, you know what I mean. The windscreen is larger than the rear view mirror because you're going that way. And I think, you said about staying in your lane. And that is so important, Kim. There's so much noise out there. Ultimately, I think it's just about just being a bloody good human being, being good at your job, striving to be better every day. And I think that's why we've just always had this sort of soul sister connection, and that speaks so much volumes, more than words, because we have such a shared passion for what we do. So I just want to go back, and it makes me a bit emotional thinking, which is really special, because I think about when you got back in the car with G, and, you both have an amazing relationship, as do I with my mum. My mum is a very fierce woman, and I tell you, if I told you the stories that she has, things she's had to overcome as a woman, but it's in that moment, Kim, when you got in the car that, that was life-changing. That could have gone one of two ways. And I think, like you honouring that strength, but what was that within you that went, no, F-U-C-K him, let's do it?
Yeah, and you have your little pity party for a while, as I said, but don't live there.
Yeah.
I just, the passion I had for the industry, and to know there was a better way. I'd already been doing it in Melbourne and other states, because my company's national. The smile or the look on people's faces when they've gone to work or gone on holidays and come home, and their home is all set up, or their office is set up how we planned it and what we talked about, and then being able to execute that. That's money doesn't get me out of bed in the morning. And look, we need money because we're in business. We got to make money.
That's right.
But that doesn't drive me to do what I do. So
Same.
there's just something within you from how you're raised, I think, from your role models and mentors, but then the journey on life that you go on and the people you surround yourself with, the like-minded people that believe in you and lift you up and inspire you. Like I said to you, if sometimes you might have a flick through and there's Amy's smile.
Yeah,
and like it lights up our world like the biggest sunflower you've ever seen.
Thanks, Kim.
It's not pink, but it's yellow. It's nice and bright.
Hey, if we could do a pink sunflower, right?
Well, we have a pink thing.
I know. I saw a pink rose yesterday. As my gran would say, stop and smell the roses. I had a smell of it, took a photo. Look, there is certainly no doubt that you and I would never begrudge getting up on a Monday morning for work. In fact, I would say, we don't even use the word work, do we? Like our careers are our passion. And I think sometimes, we are really centred by, very much those that are around us and being reminded of that. Let's just delve into a couple of more quick questions about the industry before we get to know you a little bit more. Who do you think should use a moving angel, Kim?
I actually believe most of the population should.
It was a trick question.
It was so tricky. Definitely someone that's feeling overwhelmed, stressed. I see a lot of people, they do have family around them, that they'll tend to utilise family and friends, and then there can be that too much emotional connection and they don't get the right advice or the right help that they need.
Have you seen, I bet you've seen a few arguments and fights far out. I was just thinking about that, tussling over prized possessions and,
Definitely. Actually, 3 days ago, I ran into a lady in the supermarket who I helped move 2 years ago.
Yeah.
She'd been at home for 40 years. She went into a lifestyle community, a vertical one.
Yeah.
And she just come up and give me the biggest hug. And she said, Kim, I still think and talk about you every day, how you changed my life with my move. And she said, my daughter, because her daughter was at the meeting when I met her, wanted to control and do everything. But I just told her to get out of here, basically. Kim's going to do it. She goes, I'm still so grateful. She said, come round and have a cup of tea.
Isn't that beautiful?
They're the things when people say that. And sometimes when people introduce me or they're talking about me, even my husband will say, God love you, oh, who is this woman? And sometimes I think that myself, who is she? It's interesting how...
She's amazing, let me say. She is amazing.
You do what you do because you have something within you. And I think often at times I wouldn't be serving the world well if I didn't do what I was doing, because I've got experience, I've got knowledge, but then the skills and all the other things that go with that to help people in one of the most stressful times in their life. You would know how great people feel, and look at the testimonies you get from people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're into the same. We've all got people out there that are driven by money, but the person's paying for the service. So what can we do to help make this the most magical experience they've ever had?
Correct. That's exactly right. It's so important. It's funny you say about your beautiful client inviting her around. We're just enjoying some banana bread from a lovely lady who bought her a property off me. She dropped those off to the office, and I think that's what it's about. It's about those lifelong friendships, far over being referral clients or anything like that. We are so similarly aligned with why we do what we do. Have you got any funny stories, some juicy moving stories, Kim?
There's some in the book.
Give us a little taste. I know that you could write your own book on. We often say here that we would have a book about real estate. Far out. If I told you some of the things, I've got an appraisal this afternoon where they've got a 130 kilo pig that lives in the house. So that'll be an interesting one.
Yeah, there's a few, and there's some in the book and some aren't in there because I just, some things are more for a catch-up with a cup of tea or in that code of silence.
Champagne,
Never mention any names,
of course.
Maybe one is a lovely lady I can remember, and her husband had passed a couple of years earlier, and they'd been in their home for 30 years, so it's not really a funny one. It's a very heart sort of felt conversation. And it was she had this nice box in her room, and she said, "Oh, Kim, I'd like you to look after that for me." She said, "Can you actually even take it in your car?" It was just a local movie on the sunny coast. So I said, "Yeah, that's fine. Just pop it over there." She said, "I don't feel like taking it in my car." It's just, and then the next day, she said she was there and she was crying And I just put my arm around it, and she said, "Oh, actually, in that box, that's my husband.
Oh, bless.
His ashes."
Oh.
And I said, "Oh, she said, oh, I hope it doesn't make you feel
Yeah.
eerie." I said, "Oh, no, I just actually got this lovely feeling that he's on this journey with you."
Yes.
Not physically present. I said,
Yeah.
"That's fine, take it." And then, like, just little things like that. I think that's that once you form, as you got to earn your trust and credibility.
Always.
People think it's given to you. I know you don't, but I think, and she was a referral from a friend of hers. Things like that, they really touch your heart. And to me, that's what life's all about. Sometimes they're just going on this journey and they just want someone to let them know it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And they're going to get there. And
it's that trust bank, isn't it? You need to constantly deposit into it. And I think that's a really important thing. You and I are both avid referrers and, we've both been involved very heavily in business networking and, we don't take it lightly when we pass on, refer somebody because, obviously we know that's our reputation, but also our clients mean the world to us. That's for sure.
Oh, you're so right. And I was just actually chatting with a friend yesterday. And she said, "Kim, what do you think one of the biggest pivotal moments in your like with the Moving Angel?" And I said, "I actually think when we relocated to the Sunshine Coast, I believe that's when the Moving Angel really found her wings to fly because I joined the Sunshine Coast Business Women's Network. Within that, there was a mentoring program, which
That's
you know
right.
about.
Yeah.
And the amazing people, like just thinking Michelle Evans,
Yes.
Kim McCosker,
Yeah.
Michelle Faulkner, and Claire, I can never pronounce her surname, Lee Rachow. I
Yes.
mean, the knowledge, wisdom and experience I learnt from there, I wouldn't be doing this now.
Just giving of their time and knowledge. That is so critical to what we have on the Sunshine Coast. I think that's, something that, is really underestimated. And I have no doubt that there'd be pockets of that elsewhere, but there is just genuinely, and of course, my time working for the Chamber of Commerce, I was immersed in that and I believe really passionate about creating that kind of environment and connectivity. But there is just something magic, isn't there, about that?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's named the entrepreneurial capital of the world. Like, I mean, this is where I found my wings to fly. And yes, I'm a national company. And when we were relocating here, people said, "Oh, why would you go to the Sunshine Coast, little Sleepy Hollow?" Now they're seeing what I'm doing. I'll talk about it. And people, as you would know, they say, "Oh, you're so lucky."
Yeah.
But look, you make your own luck. You only get out of
Agreed.
something in life what you put into it. Timing definitely plays a part.
Of course.
And sometimes we end up at the T intersection. Are we going to go left? Are we going to go right? An opportunity, even to come on and talk with you this morning, have this chat last night, guest speaking at Rotary.
Absolutely.
They're all opportunities to share your knowledge with people. It's not out there because you're selling. I don't sell anything to anybody.
I think it's just being courageous as well, Kim. Like that's exactly like you never hesitate to put your hand up and at an opportunity, which is amazing. But there is so much in that, and I think that's a really great key takeaway for listeners and viewers is that having that courage to step into it. And have you always kind of had that confidence within yourself?
No. I'll be honest.
I kind of knew the answer there, but I wanted you to share that because you do come across, and I know you are confident, you're self-assured, you're strong, but that's certainly a journey of time to get there, I'm assuming.
Oh, definitely. As I touched on earlier, being bullied at school, I had like pizza face acne. I was quite a larger sort of shape back then.
Yep.
And I had the glasses, the Coke bottle
Me
glasses.
too, yep.
And the name calling was horrendous. And I think now as I'm in my 50s, I just let stuff go. But and it's not your parents' fault, like I said, or
of
anything.
course.
We weren't taught to talk about it. And asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. I think living that, and then also some other challenges. Another turning point. I mean, I say the four best things. Oh, I've done multiple amazing things in my life, but the four best things I've done in my life truly was meeting my wonderful husband, Brett, having our daughter, walking the Kokoda track with my dad, and this book now. Because when I met my husband, it was a turning point how he loved me for who I was and what I looked like and everything. And we all change and evolve over time, but to help me have the self-belief in myself to be brave and really live who I wanted to be and be really comfortable in my own skin because I love being me. Everyone else is taken. And maybe it wasn't exactly him and the timing. There's circumstances, of course, but that was a real turning point. And I remember going to a school reunion. I think we'd been married for 10 years or something and running into some of the school bullies.
Interesting.
Walking in and, you know, they'd all had a few drinks. Oh, gee, the ugly duckling, she's become the swan.
Wow. Kim, that's revolting that you went through that. Wow.
Yeah, and I don't talk about it a lot. To me, it's negative, but I've lived and breathed it, and it helped me come out. And people look at me and say, "You're so confident."
Yeah,
but I wasn't always this person.
Look, I think, you know, what, like we say, it's what you go through to get to where you are, isn't it, ultimately? And I think there is, you know, we just spoke about it off air as well, there is merit in truth and vulnerability as well. And, you know, I would suggest that most people on the planet have battled or journeyed through something, and success doesn't. I don't believe success comes easy. It comes with a lot of hard work and life lessons. Let's shift gear a little bit. I would love you just to share if there's any myth or misconception about your industry that you would like to share.
Oh, I often mention about that my industry is not regulated, so a lot of people don't know what that means, what that looks like. They just...
Yeah, chat us through that, Kim.
Yeah, so things like just on one particular note, and I mentioned it as a chapter in my book, like insurance. Like if you need to make sure that your terms and conditions are right when you're moving, because a truck's parked in your driveway, say they collect the spouting or they hit, you know, the next door's letterbox or they fall over or something like that. And then there's all those issues around where you could be sued. So you need to make sure that they've got insurance for their vehicle, they've got public liability, and they're, you know, a reputable remover company. Do your research, because as we know with, you know, things now and scams and stuff, people can put, you know, testimonials up and they're not even real.
That's right.
So be really careful to tick your boxes. And I'm here. I want to be a voice for my industry in a positive way, but also happy to answer questions.
That's awesome.
Every day people call me and say, I'm moving. They don't necessarily, or they can't afford my service, or it's not for them.
Sure.
But I still like to help people with questions, because that one little question, like even I saw my mum many years ago after there were other companies in Wangaratta formed, they would call up mum and say, oh, good morning or good afternoon, McCullough from Rubens Store. Judy speaking. Oh, sorry, I meant to ring someone else. And mum says, oh, who were you wanting to ring? And she'd just get the number out and said, here's the number.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Blow me down.
Yeah.
You know, not long down the track, a family or friend. Not that that's what you're looking for.
Of course.
But it's helping people.
Absolutely. I always think about that where our office is based. It used to be a video store and a photocopying service. And, you know, people would come in and say, oh, can I get a photocopy? Or I thought it was a copy centre. I said, of course, sit down, have a coffee. We'll do the photocopying. Or are you a coffee shop? No, but here, take a coffee. Look, I think, you know, that's just a shared ethos that we have. If you, I find this question hilarious for you, but if for any reason you weren't doing what you are doing in your current role, what would you do?
Publish more books.
Yeah, awesome.
Become a writer. And look, that is, if even probably 2 years ago I had said that, I would have been shocking myself.
Yeah.
And there's a great quote from a friend of mine who's also a published author. She said, Kim, it's not about the book, it's about the person you become after a published author. And I truly believe that, and I've got 2 other books in mind.
Oh, any little insights or hot scoops?
One, I feel I'd love to talk about miscarriage, because that's something we experienced many times.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
And living and breathing that and what that looks like and how I could help people around that. Also menopause.
Yeah.
Because I've just gone through that and different things you can engage in. It's not a one-size-fits-all, but just those experiences in life. And then also my husband and I talk about relationships.
Yes.
And how we could do a book about, because people look at us and say, oh, you're so lucky. Or we don't have that. We're full of ups and downs in life. I mean, many things we've been through. I think it's about working together, growing together. Communication, that's one thing I will say that Brett's really good at. And I can, even though I'm good at my role as the moving angel in communication, but sometimes in our relationship I'm not great. But we're all not good at something.
Yeah,
and
that's
he
right.
always gets me back on track. Or Georgia says to me, "Oh, Mummy, be brave," or
Yeah.
things. You need those people to pull you back in, or
Absolutely.
just tell you how it is. Rip the Band-Aid off, basically.
Oh, look, I always say I love Team Phillips. You are incredible. The three of you are absolutely incredible, and that is how you get to where you are. I'm looking forward to you sharing with those books. I think both topics often not spoken about, but very much, there is so much support required for people going through both. So that's very exciting. I'm sure that they are on the horizon. Please, no injuries to get to writing another book. Can you please put some time aside to do it?
No more injuries. The universe has a plan, like it does for all of us, and then I think it's just going on their journey. Yeah. And life is a journey, not a destination. I see people, we need to slow down more, have more patience in this impatient world, and I think just suck it all in and really take time to smell the roses and enjoy the little things, because life is so precious.
Agreed.
And you can never get time back. You can make more money if that's your thing and whatever success looks like for you. But, yeah, I just say every day, once people are gone, they're gone.
That's right, absolutely.
So enjoy every minute with the people that you love and tell them you love them and say the nice things. Don't hold back.
No, that's exactly right. Well, I love you, Kim. I think you're amazing.
Thank you. I love you too.
Speaking about having a bit of a break from work, what would be your dream holiday destination? Where would Kim Phillips go to relax?
Where we love to travel.
Yes.
As you know, went to South Africa last year. The world cruise. I love cruising. And actually, Georgia just bought me a cover for my suitcase, and it says a girl who loves to go cruising. So that's definitely, we've actually got a dream board at home, and
great.
we've just done it. And when you're going through the ups and downs, we look at that. That's what we're driving for, because we love to travel. Travel opens up so many experiences that you don't get sometimes when you're just going, the everyday sort of life thing. So definitely
a world cruise. I've been following on TikTok. There's a world cruise at the moment. It's something like 300 days, and it was quite funny actually. I was just watching about sort of halfway now what they would have. What they shouldn't have packed or what they've overpacked. Shoes was a big one, actually. They said they didn't need as many shoes, but that would be a really cool thing. I'd enjoy that myself too. I guess getting to, wake up and you're in a different continent or different area. So that's a good one to look forward to. I too looked at my vision board this morning as I was getting ready. That's evolved and changed over the years, but definitely mine had a suitcase and some me time as well. So I'm with you on that. Tell me, look, I think you've already alluded to it, but I always like to ask, what was the best day of your life so far?
Oh, there's been many, but I think
choose one.
being born, the world was a better place than I was born. No,
I love it. Good answer.
Definitely meeting my wonderful husband, Brett.
Yeah.
He's been a game changer for me.
Where did you meet?
In America.
Did you?
Yeah,
Tell us about that.
That's interesting too.
Yeah.
Back then I'd had a couple of relations. And look, there's two sides to every story, and the truth, obviously, and I'm nothing like the perfect person and learnt so much about relationships now, but had a couple of rough ones, and I have mentioned before about the domestic violence and all that sort of stuff, and it can be pretty scary, but I was going to join the nunnery, actually.
There you go. Wow.
My mum doesn't even know that probably. No, I just said it in jest.
Until now, yes.
And then went off on a 3-month trip to go around the world, which was wonderful. And then just before one of my Kentucky tours, I met Brett.
Amazing.
And I knew straight away. I looked at him, and even the person sitting next to me, I said, see that guy there, I'm going to marry him. And I told this story at our wedding, and I've told it before, and people look at me and say, oh, she's crazy. But 28 years we just celebrated. But
incredible.
I hadn't even spoken to him. But I have,
you just know, don't you?
I do. Well, some people have an intuition. Even my naturopath says to me every time I go there, she said, Kim, you're really like within, like you just have this aura and you're really in tune, and I do. I meet people and my gut's so powerful. It says, oh, no, they're not a good person, or I'm not sure. And Brett will say to me sometimes, how did you know? You just get this feeling, and sometimes people don't present their true colours. But I've gone on that my whole life, and when I don't, I go, Kim, your gut feeling, you knew you
I know.
should have done that.
I laugh too. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? And I mean, you know this story, but I had my wedding dress the week before I met DB, which sounds really psycho. But you know, you and I both believe in manifesting and everything as well. But yeah, your intuition, I think that's so vital. When you finish a day, a big day of moving, you know, I can imagine that that it's not often glamorous. I can imagine, but you're not wearing those pink heels when you're doing a move.
No, these are definitely not the project manager's shoes. But
They are gorgeous.
Just for you.
Yes. For those that are listening, we do record our podcast as well, so you will get to see the shoes. What would be your favourite meal and drink?
Oh, I love Mexican food.
Same.
I love my Earl Grey. A lot of people know me used to enjoy a wine, and I don't have wine much anymore. I think after going on a different health journey from September last year and seeing a naturopath and working out whether you overeat or undereat is still a bad relationship with food, so I wasn't having enough protein. But now I don't feel 20 again, but I tell you what, I'm feeling a lot better than I was. I had adrenaline fatigue.
Yep.
Now probably a nice little gin and sparkling water with a dash of lime or vodka. But I don't really get into the wines these days. I'm a little celebration-y, but love my tea. I've become a real tea.
Yeah.
I still like coffee too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was spending a lot of time with people drinking tea.
It's a comfort, isn't it? It's interesting because my mum always starts her day with 2 Earl Grey cups of tea. In fact, I don't speak to her before she has to, Kim. She says, I'll have one, I'll have another one. It's funny, isn't it? She brings, when she visits from Tasmania, she brings a little pouch of Earl Grey tea bags. And my husband's the same. PG Tips, he'll start and end the day with that as well, being English. And, it's that, I think there's that warm space in your heart. I think there's something with tea. I mean, you've just enjoyed an Earl Grey and in a little teapot, and there's something about that. And I guess it's a ceremonial ritual, something like that as well. But yeah, it's like, well, people don't, they say it's a hug in a mug or something like that.
Yeah, not quite as good as a hug, but it definitely warms your soul, and it's good for the soul.
Now, Mexican, what would be what you would order if you were going to a Mexican restaurant?
Oh, actually, I don't eat Mexican out because I feel...
Because you do it so good?
Not so much me. Brett and Georgia are really good at it. So normally we used to do all the wraps and all that sort of thing, but now we've got like our loaded nachos.
Nice.
Yeah, so I put a bit of spinach in and then some corn chips.
Nice.
And then usually pork or turkey mince.
Yeah, nice.
And don't do tomatoes anymore. A little bit of salsa, sprinkle a little bit of cheese over the top.
Happy days.
Pretty basic. Sounds a bit boring.
No, it's not really boring. My Daniel, his favourite food is Mexican. We like a little bit of radish added. If you haven't tried that yet, it just gives it a little zing. So I do radish, feta and coriander just for a really nice, just kind of moves away from that sort of Tex-Mex. Yeah. Well, there you go. We've shared our little Mexican treats. Kim, we have spoken for nearly an hour. We could speak for hours and hours more, I have no doubt. But to close our catch-up today, I'd love you to share your favourite quote or saying. Just one.
Yeah. Gee, this is a tough one for me because I have a lot. I have so many, but I think if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. And that's with any industry, anything in life, and do your research.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing and so pertinent to your industry. Well, Kim, what a beautiful catch-up. As I said at the start, I'm so honoured to know you. I'm so grateful you said yes to coming on board and flying up to be our special guest. You have so much to offer the world, not just in your industry, but by who you are. I can't thank you enough, and I hope one day you'll be a guest again.
Thank you so much. This has been a lovely conversation, and as we say, we never meet anyone by chance. It's always for a reason, and you're such a big part of my world and love you so much. And I love our connection with Pink.
Yes, we love our Pink. And Kim, how can people get in contact with you if they want to know more, book you or buy your book?
Oh, great. Books are for sale on our website. But www.movingmadeeasy.net.au. And give me a call. Love to have a chat and see how I can help. We've got socials, obviously, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram.
Yes, you're all over it. All right, my darling, thank you so much. You've been a star. Thank you for listening to this episode of Beyond the Signboard. We trust you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it for you. If there are any topics you want covered in the future, make sure you reach out and let us know. Also, feedback and suggestions are appreciated, almost as much as likes, shares and downloads.